Can we call this meeting to order, please? Okay, let's see. Let me get myself in order. Okay, roll call. District 1, Mr. Gonzalez?
Here.
Natalie?
Here.
Miriam?
Here.
Mario Perez?
Here.
Oh, we have Faith and Angie and Cira? Here. Sandra Solis?
Present.
And that's it. Mary Bender. Okay.
Do we have anybody from health? No, or no?
Anybody from the health department?
I'm from health. I'm the public information specialist.
Okay, and you are?
Deidre Hernandez.
Okay, so have you had time to review, the minutes from the last meeting?
No.
We'd like to go ahead and, approve them. If anybody has any changes that need to be made? No? Can we get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, and we move on
All
to,
in favor, you forgot, all in favor.
oh, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, so do we have any public comments?
None submitted.
None submitted? Okay. We got the approved minutes, and we move on to discussions. But actually, I'd like to go ahead and did everybody have a chance to review the bylaws? I think this is the second time that we get these bylaws. Because we'd like to go ahead, and if there's any changes that need to be made, please bring them up. Otherwise, we'd like to go ahead and set, a vote on these. We haven't had bylaws, we haven't had them approved since,
Did we have a quorum last meeting?
Did-
We did have a quorum?
No,
No,
not last, January, yes, the other one was canceled, and then this one. This one did not have a quorum, so there was no
We would
meeting.
need to have this meeting to, because they're presented, so we would need this meeting to be able to review them. And then next meeting, we would have to
Okay.
approve them. But if there was no quorum last meeting,
If I recall, in the January meeting, we may have brought them up.
Yes.
Not certain. I
So
think-
do we have to have a quorum after they've been brought up and introduced? We have to we have to have a quorum to vote on them?
we'll see.
A past meeting, we have to have a quorum for a past meeting,
In order for us to be able to.
even though all the members got copies via email. And they could review it, they had like 2 months to review.
I would need to check, because I don't recall seeing them, that's why.
Okay.
I mean, I was the one forward them to them, but not with the new changes.
Okay, so do we table this and approve for next month? Dragging on. Okay. So bylaws, please review them and we will vote on them. Hopefully we have a quorum next meeting.
We don't have a quorum right now.
Well,
I mean,
she said we needed to have a quorum last
But
meeting.
you're saying that January you all had a quorum, no? And they were,
Yes.
it was presented in January?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's on item D in January.
Yeah.
I mean, you can vote for them if you had a quorum. in
Yeah,
January.
so it supersedes the.
Okay. So, any objections, any changes, any questions on the bylaws?
Tucson, did you recommend these and tweak
Yes.
them or, yeah, right?
I created, I don't wanna say created, enhanced,
Yeah,
is probably a better word to use. To at least define the definitions of what a chair's role is, the vice chair, the secretary, cause that really wasn't in there.
Right,
So like in the duties of the committee, that's relatively the same. There's a lot that's the same. I just went into a little bit more in depth of the actual roles of like the chair, the vice chair, and stuff like that. You won't see again a lot of like changes made. We just enhanced certain definitions
Well,
so that
thank you for that.
we got a little bit more
what's
clarity.
the next motion to approve?
do we have a motion to approve?
Yes.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5. Does that,
It's more than 4.
okay, cool. So that passes. So going back in, I'm jumping around because I wanted to get the bylaws out of the way. And I'd like to discuss the ordinance, in a little bit more depth, later on. Right now, we'd like to get, suggestions for a new chairperson. I'm only filling in, I am not the chairperson. A vice chair and a secretary. So, open for nominations. Wow, crickets.
I'll nominate myself for vice chair. Get the ball rolling.
Very good. Anyone else?
Second up. Appreciate it.
Well, yeah, but anybody else? Any other nominations for vice chair? Just, yeah, I know it's just gonna him, but I need to open it. Okay, so motion? Second? All in favor? Do we have the votes?
Well, I guess there's nobody again, so.
Yeah. All right. Nominations for secretary? I'm terrible at taking notes. I start to talk and I forget to write.
You're feeding the brain.
Can we nominate Natalie for secretary?
Sure.
Awesome. I nominate, okay, second motion, all in favor? Fantastic. And we need a chairperson. Nominations? Yes. I nominate Gilbert Gonzalez for chairperson.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Okay, Mr. Gonzalez, you're good.
No, not today.
Not today?
I'm working on some emails right now.
Not today, okay. All right, so let's go back to, let's see. Let's go back to the discussion for ordinance revisions. I know Angie was working on animal cruelty. How are we doing, Angie?
Good, I have some examples, well, I don't know if it's gonna pass or agreed. Let me get. And since my mom passed away, so I didn't have so much.
I understand, I understand. My mom had a stroke on the 2nd of February and she's
So
still
I've
in the
been so
hospital.
busy with the family and everything,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it
I
was
get
hard
it.
for me.
Okay.
We're sorry to hear that, Ms. Andrade.
I'm so sorry for your
I
loss.
didn't- On behalf of the committee, let us know anything the family might need.
Thank you.
Anybody else dabble into the ordinances?
I took a look at them as well, just to more get a sense of what is out there already on the books. And the ones that I found were the one for registration of spayed, neutered, and intact cats and dogs, and a litter permit. Now that litter permit I guess would also be included in the requirement that it be placed on an advertisement. I just want to brainstorm on what is done for the advertisements for selling litters, for example. Since that requires permits, and if there's a way that we can quantify the number of fines, if any, that have been issued or will be issued for those types of ordinances. My point being that I myself didn't know that this ordinance was already on the books, the one about prohibiting advertising letters. Like, I'd like to see if maybe the public responds to some enforcement in a positive way by not putting them out there, for example. Just something that I had in mind. And another thing is again, opening the table to what other ordinances are out there that I didn't just discuss, but those are the only two ones that I found.
So let me address the first portion of that. As far as stuff that's on Facebook, and we're working with the health department because they're facing the same thing with people selling food, right? That's not, registered, it's not inspected, all of that. I don't know if anybody's been on the classified Laredos or anything like that. Like, you can go to Walmart and buy tamales out of a trunk.
Yes.
So, like, okay, there's no judgment.
They're usually pretty good too.
Right, again, that's why, no judgment here, none whatsoever, but there are a lot of things in place that make it very difficult to prosecute because a lot of people also use the right language, when advertising on social media and stuff like that. So with that said, we are diligently trying to work with the health department because there's been an issue not just on litters and animals and stuff like that, but there are other departments that are facing the same thing, and we're trying to figure out a workaround that we can really get people who are violating ordinances via social media and stuff like that. But we have a bunch of group of people trying to figure out best way to move forward on that. We're hitting a lot of roadblocks. I'll just flat out tell you that right now. Now, like the ones that are selling in the streets and on the corners, if we get called, those are the ones that are being addressed immediately because obviously it's physically right there. We can actually have eyes on it. A lot of the times the judge says that you can't really prosecute anything until a transaction is made. Well, if they're just putting it online, we can't verify an actual transaction was made. If it's on the streets or something like that, it brings it to a whole different level. That's kind of like the impact and pushback that we're getting right now. So that's where we're at. Not saying we're not trying to move forward, just that's kind of where we're stuck right now with that.
When selling dogs at public locations, does animal control give citations or just a warning?
I think it depends on the situation. Most of the times they are instructed to give citations. Now, if PD is out there or it's addressed by a citizen prior to us being out there and they leave the area, there's no way for us to be able to give citations. And I know we're running into that quite a bit.
No, ultimately, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the citations, they're enforced in the municipal court by
Their ordinance. Yeah. Now, we can do a little bit more restricted in terms of like there are permits needed for like breeding animals and stuff like that. There's nothing that says that we can't cap how many. Now that might not do a whole lot because most people don't come to our facility to actually get the breeding, certifications that they need. However, with that said, we can throw in numbers of their capping how many that we allot during a certain year. I would hesitate saying no breeding whatsoever in the city limits, although what I feel personally is one thing, but we'll put that aside. At the end of the day, this is what looking at these ordinances is all about, is really saying, okay, while we have this, should we limit it to X amount of permits or X amount of litter registrations annually? And that's kind of where we have a basis. What do we want to do with that?
Right. I mean, I'd like to see enforcement statistics. If any case has failed or succeeded, I'd like to sort of peer into that to see
For specifically for the breeding or
For
for
the litter permit,
the
yes.
litter permit?
Because I work with, I don't know if you all know Valeria Reyes, she's a city attorney, and she worked in the municipal court. And I understand it's very tough to enforce a lot of these ordinances, I understand.
And again, we're making changes, like I think the last one that we made a change on was the running at large. They can, the pushback that we were getting was the ordinance says they allow the animals to run at large, right? So everything that we were brought in front of the judge, it was just getting thrown out.
Yeah, some mental state.
Correct.
Required.
So we removed that on the last thing that we changed, we removed that completely, so it no longer says allow, it's simply running at large. So hopefully presenting that and understanding what the roadblocks are, we are making these changes within the ordinance so that when we do go to present, because like you said, it is tough, it's not easy to actually have stuff go through at that level.
And I will add, I'm part of the other shelter, and a lot of the breeders, I can say that it's a lot of Webb County, like outside the skirts. Those are mainly our breeders. It's not so much the city because there's enforcement, but in the skirts, we do have a lot of breeders. And those are the ones that are getting dumped over here in the north or, in houses or neighborhoods where they know that we will, rescue them.
Are these like in colonias or municipalities?
In colonias.
Colonias.
A lot of colonias, yeah. And municipalities, also because of the drives, vacuna drives, how they bring all the puppies, and you can ask for the address, and most of the address are, in the skirts, in the colonias.
Yeah.
So,
As a matter of fact, we have, I have several names for lax, for breeders that we got that are in the city. So,
There's a lot more.
Huh?
The parks, and there's a lot more.
oh yeah, there's a lot more,
Right.
but we catch what we can catch.
I know,
but we are, well, in my part, we are seeing more
yes.
people selling animals again. Like,
Yes,
they had already,
a lot.
dropped, and we've been seeing a lot of it now, so.
I mean, I don't know if something as simple as calling the numbers and telling them, this advertisement is running afoul of this ordinance. I mean, I don't know if that will spook somebody into compliance. Alternatives to enforcement, I guess.
Can we knock on county doors to create a department also?
That's what I was gonna suggest.
Let's just go over to Commissioner's Court and fix,
But they have no shelter, they
but
have
they can-
no place to
those are-
house them.
Yeah, but they can
they
create,
have-
they can create it, they
Yeah.
can start. And they're doing
I know
like
Rio
$60
Bravo
million.
Rio Bravo and
That's
so
an
already, they did like 6 kennels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
But what about that's why I asked whether it was the municipalities or the colonias.
yeah, colonias, yeah, like we get a
I
lot.
mean, the Webb County now has an ambulance service, they have a fire, they're building a fire department, they're building medical services, why not, help us out also?
Exactly.
Even the new colonias are getting those strays, abandoned dogs.
Oh, yeah.
How do you think we would approach this, Ms. Bluestone? I mean, they're building Lifetown $60 million
I
facility.
know, I was-
And Webb County needs money to build their own shelter. They have a crisis of animals.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying, and they
Mhm.
have they have a budgeted balance that I know of, and cause it's always gonna spill over.
How many commissioners in
4.
Webb County?
4,
Cause I have a meeting scheduled with Wally
okay, when?
after the but I figured maybe meet with your brother too.
Yeah.
Maybe Dano.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad idea. And the reason why I say that is because, like, it is the outskirts, like, we don't have jurisdiction there.
No, we don't.
And we're always going, you can tell, for call maps, where the primary problem areas are. And a lot of it revolves around, that Webb County outskirts or the border.
Okay.
Like, I
Well,
mean, it's.
okay. Can Ms. Bluestone and with the shelters create a presentation so we could just jump in and go to Commissioner's Court?
Are you talking about a presentation to,
Just on how it affects the city and how, I mean, whether they wanna create MOUs or give us funding to create more panel positions or, but, I mean, this is something that needs to be looked at. And if we don't knock on their doors, they're never gonna,
I think the key, with all due respect, Lauren should know, it's more about, if we build more shelters,
Mhm.
the shelters are gonna be full,
yeah.
honestly. You can
So
get-
what do you,
I mean, it's paying, or the answer is we have to like go in, help them out and.
well, have them create their
Yeah, spay neuter.
plan because they have a health department as well.
Exactly, and
But,
spay neuter.
let's just create a presentation and we'll go as a committee to Commissioner's Court, so that way there can be an action.
Or this uniformity in
Yeah.
ordinances.
I think that we should also, prior to that, kind of discuss, like, are you looking in the forms of MOUs? Or are we looking in the forms of if they independently built a shelter somewhere
That's what I was
in the
saying.
middle
Of
of Webb
that
County
hotspot.
or wherever? Right, it's
Yeah,
general,
they can do
like-
that, yeah. Like I said, they're
Okay.
currently building fire stations,
Okay.
medical facilities, ambulances and all that.
Okay. Cause, okay,
Yeah, it
I
should
think
not
that's-
be dumped on.
well, no,
the
I
city.
mean, we're struggling with the resources we have for this
We are,
city
and we
right now.
always will be, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't wanna, like, overextend, we are more than willing to guide, help, absolutely go to the table.
Yeah.
But I think, like our city is in kind of like a chaos right now when it comes to stray animals and all that. And while that's a major impact, and perhaps if we did that, we still have the border region and we don't have enough spay neuter in the community right now, to truly make that impact. So, I mean, hitting it from all sides, maybe that's not a bad thing. I just know that for the city itself, like,
Yeah.
we couldn't take on more in terms of an MOU.
Okay, no, then let's do,
Okay, okay.
let's have them create their own thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
And
we
again,
need to push them against the corner already, because the colonias are also growing.
everything's growing, and I
Yeah.
think that's definitely becoming.
And more
Yeah.
breeding, and more
So,
breeding.
yeah.
it
So
doesn't
who will
stop.
prepare the language so we could, meet, there at Commissioner's Court as a committee? And, because they're also gonna start working on their budget also this summer. And we need them to act now, because like I said, they've never heard of us. They know it's happening, but their priorities are somewhere else if we don't push them against the wall.
If you guys wanna like email me like what you guys are seeing in terms of like, and no names, no nothing, we'll keep everything like
Yeah, no,
discreet in
just in
terms of
general.
the people that you're seeing, but like maybe, hey, from our clinics, the majority, or we're seeing the breeder, like just a general thing, and I'll try to word it in a way, like I don't wanna call anybody out or anything like that,
No.
just general wording in a way and not for presentation and stuff,
Yeah.
and I'll work on
You forward
our
it?
steps
Yeah.
on that too.
And you let me know and I'll file it with Leroy Method.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll see your stats and
Yeah.
show you our stats.
And everybody's input is welcome, that way Ms. Bluestone has a lot to present, to work on the presentation, and then of course, everybody's presence throughout this would help also.
And the thing is that, for example, we have for many years, we've been having a partnership with El Cenizo and Rio Bravo, and we usually take their animals because the city can't, because of the, they can't take,
But that's for vaccines, right?
No.
Oh, for spay neuter?
and also to surrender.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I'm getting a lot of, we get a lot of dumped in Mangana Hine, right?
Yes.
Oh.
And that's in the ETJ and,
More than 25 dogs
Yeah.
dumped.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we get always.
Yeah, no, what I'm
So,
gonna-
like just jot those numbers down and like send it like and again for a
Yeah.
presentation, like the more numbers that we have,
yeah.
like the stronger that cause 9 times the government's not gonna react to emotions, they don't, that's just how it goes. But for actual statistics, that's what you're gonna catch people's eye and
Yeah.
hopefully say, hey, like stop making this a Laredo problem.
Even
Exactly.
we can go to that place and make a live video so you can see something.
No, and also we
Animals are
can have the
dumped.
county's environmental and the sheriff's office place cameras where they also can, track these people dumping those. So that'll make them stop.
And not the fact that zoonosis, I mean, most of the dogs that we get, are always positive or, Ehrlichia or, tick fever,
Heartworm.
heartworm, they're always positive.
Yeah.
90% of our dogs that we get surrendered, they're positive.
Okay, so let's initiate this.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, as far as the ordinance revisions, I think we're gonna have to maybe cut into a subcommittee and meet independently of this, because I know there's further discussion needed, for the ordinances. I myself started to look at it, but we've also had health issues with my mom, and, so I haven't dedicated enough time to looking into the ordinances. So, yeah, Angie, Mario,
Yes.
yes. Who else can we count on for the ordinance revisions that would like to join us on this committee? Would you like to?
So we're
join?
gonna create a committee right now?
Yeah, to, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
No, no, no.
So that we could have a meeting and then work on suggestions and then present them in writing to the committee, and there's gonna be more revisions to those suggestions. And then
Does the
perhaps-
does the committee have to be based on this committee, or?
We can bring in other people.
Okay, then I'll
We can bring in,
somebody else.
other people from the community, most definitely.
Okay.
And anybody on the committee can bring in and invite more, more suggestions,
Yes.
more eyes looking at these. I think it works, it would be better.
Yeah, okay. The teacher
Okay.
and the students of Plaza Johnson they're gonna participate. They have a lot of information that they're
Okay.
gathering. And stuff.
Let's do adults.
Well, some are 18,
Okay.
and then the teacher,
Yeah. Okay.
the president.
Okay.
Well, that's your final decision, not mine.
So when the suggestions and the comments and all of that, once we get it down to like a certain, this decision as far as what you guys feel is the best and all of that, here's kind of how it works in terms of our side. I can do this. I have to take the original ordinance packet. I have to officially redline it to make sure that all changes are noted. Then I have to submit to the legal department. So I'm just letting you know, like from our side, once like we get even, and I do recommend maybe like don't just do like one change at one time. Kind of put out maybe 3 or 4 on one in one committee. It just kind of works better that way. And I can go ahead and redline it. I will show you the changes. Like we submit it to legal, they give their seal of approval or not so much seal of approval, or they're like, what language are you writing? And I'll be like, I don't know. So then they rewrite it for us, and then it goes up to committee for a first reading, and then it goes for a final reading. So it does take a little time. I just want you guys to know like what happens when you guys are like, yes, this is what we want to do moving forward. This is what the idea that we think is great. What happens from that point on our side?
Right. Do you wanna decide on a day and time?
For what?
And, after this meeting, you can email us, when we could meet,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman? Okay. All right, moving on to adding a code of conduct to bylaws. I brought that up because, we need to have a decorum we represent the Animal Advisory Committee, we represent the city to the public. And so, I spoke to Lauren about adding a code of conduct, like not bashing the shelter, to be blunt. Okay? I think we have to conduct ourselves a little bit more professional, and I was just as guilty, I'm gonna tell you, I was just as guilty when my campaign to get rid of the other director. So I am not saying I'm perfect, because I did it too.
Nobody's
But
perfect.
we have to move forward, and if we work together to make the change, it works better. So Lauren, we would, because you have the most experience with all of these shelters you've been at, could we count on you for a sample for code of conduct for us to add to our bylaws?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any comments, any?
I've never been on a board that didn't have a code of conduct, so I can give you examples. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Okay, so motion to move forward with that.
Yes,
Do I have a second?
okay. Got it? Okay. See, you're jumping in here.
Who was the first, sorry? Who more? And who second?
Dr. Reyes.
Okay.
Discuss possibility of conducting a free or low-cost vaccine clinic in collaboration with, PALS at LAX that includes rabies. I brought that up because we have been conducting vaccine clinics since, this is our third year. And this is the first year that we got disrupted. We've been conducting in the past 2 vaccines at each district. But again, I've had health issues with my mom. She's been in the hospital for over a month. So, we have cut back on that. We have done, the vaccine clinics with Dr. Ikes at their prompting because they wanted to have an event. And we've had a tremendous turnout at their clinics. But we find that people are asking for rabies. So, that's why I'm bringing it up. PALS can provide the free DAPs because we get them through Petco. And then I'm sure we could come up with the residual cost for the Bordetella, which is very, very low. And if LAX is open to this, we're ready to work.
Do you want to talk about that?
No, you're good at it.
Oh.
You're the speaker person.
I believe that there are 2 potential dates that are already we don't know which one it is yet. I think it's like the 3rd and the 17th, in May, for our very first one. We're making sure that we can accommodate, and it's between 1 or 2 dates, so it's already happening. We're already looking into which date kind of looks, those are the dates that we're throwing around right now. So this is already something that we were thinking about discussing. We have a new veterinarian for the shelter that is definitely wanting and willing not only to help the community, but making available a few Saturdays to be able to accomplish something like this. So, and to bring that back into what the shelter should have been doing all along anyway, so.
Can I ask what happened to the other veterinarian?
The contract was up.
Gotcha.
And that in fact we already have the vaccines ready to be used.
200?
Yes.
Yeah, so the vaccines are ordered, it's just a matter of the date, that's it. And at that point, we're also considering doing the microchip and doing on-site registration with the microchip and rabies vaccine, so that we get more people in the community registered.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a drive-through thing.
Yeah,
You don't need to walk your dog there.
because it's 5,000 degrees.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And people are jumping at the microchip registration. They are. You see
Well, and
it.
again, we do understand that, that the changes that happen in order to cross the border.
Yeah.
We also want to make sure that, people who do go across the border have availability to do that with their pets. And we can provide the service of having, because now you have to have the microchip and registration to go over the border. A year ago you didn't, so hopefully we can, you know, help the community that way, because we certainly, you know, there's a lot of family members over there, we get that, and you wanna take your little family friend, so we wanna be able to help them out with that, so.
Very good, we will expect that. And I failed to introduce Marty Reyes, our new vet at the shelter. So welcome, Marty. We are really have great things are going to come out of the shelter now with your help.
No pressure.
No pressure, exactly, exactly.
Is this also a 1-year contract?
Yeah, the contract states that it is 1 year, but has the availability of an additional year extension.
Do you get to know how much turnover is typical for veterinarians?
I think for shelter veterinarians, I mean, it all depends. I know that you know, the change of administration does not help with the consistency of keeping a veterinarian. I know that like Corpus Christi right now, I think their director just stepped down, and a week later so did their veterinarian. Yeah, so like you'll see a lot of changes going on. The veterinary community itself is changing quite a bit. So, you know, yeah, but it's a big shortage. Like, shortage is an understatement as far as what's going on in that country for veterinarians.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Okay, proposal for a campaign to raise awareness of specific ordinances.
This was, I believe, my item.
Okay,
But looking at the bylaw that we adopted, there's a subcommittee that's a standing committee that probably has this within its purview. So I think if we just staff, that committee should be okay. If you look at Article 8, there's a public relations committee now.
oh, okay,
So I guess we can just staff that.
okay. Then you're done. All right, good. Moving on to discuss the use of media to promote campaigns. Whose item is that?
They're related.
Oh, okay.
But what's the procedure to staff these committees that we have already? Or do we submit names and then vote on the next meeting?
I think the committee members are able to bring in friends, community members that will be a good, lack for a better word.
If there are subcommittees, there are like,
Yeah,
basically subcommittees,
Yes.
this is the main one, and it depends on, you know,
Yes, yes.
on them, and, you know, there's that subcommittee for the ordinance, and they, you know, we used to, before, a long time ago, we used to have a TNR committee,
Right.
we used to have a,
Yes.
I don't know.
And what I'm suggesting is to vote the people into the subcommittee so that they can brainstorm on these two agenda items.
Okay.
Well, and just so you guys know, like for stuff like this, there are a lot of like national months like that for awareness for animal stuff. You can Google it and it's gonna come up with a lot.
I believe we're in April, will be the animal
Animal
cruelty, right?
We have the February spay neuter.
Yeah, we have, we proclaimed that, so, yeah.
Yep, so.
Now I'm working on to proclaim the April.
You could have like, I don't know, like an adoption, like there's a lot out there already established. So and there's a lot of agencies who promote on a national level, so it might not be a bad idea for Laredo also to get in on, because there is a lot of national networking and stuff like that, where it would be a little bit easier for us to promote. Like, hey, like, you know, once the campaign awareness or what have you, it could be a lot easier if you had on a national spotlight, hey, our city, look at us, you know, we're doing it too, and you still have more media attention more than just local for the awareness at the same time that we bring in local stuff too. So just a thought, throwing that out there, but it might not be something bad to look at if it's already kind of out there. And trust me, one Google and you're gonna be amazed about what we celebrate.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's a Catholic calendar.
Oh yeah, it's like,
I seen it, because I Google every.
It's like a different saint.
oh yeah, I mean, it's insane.
Okay. So you can put me on that committee, okay? And I'll come up with a couple of people that would like to join. There's always volunteers that are looking to join.
Right.
Okay.
Because there are several committees that can be appointed under the bylaws.
Well, and just so you know, like, as you're Googling this, you're gonna find a lot of, like, it's the day itself. So if there's anybody on the committee, if you guys wanna join forces, if you're like, oh my god, like, what is this, National Pet ID Week? Okay, like, promote microchippers, like, we could all work together in terms of, let's celebrate National Pet ID Week, or whatever it might be, you know? Like, so as you're looking up, like, the actual proclamation for the month, all of these things are gonna jump out at you. If there's things like, I'm sure there's one on like the education in the schools and stuff like that, that like we could all kind of work together and have an event or whatever it might be, but there's so much to choose from, so just kind of keep that in mind as you're Googling this type of stuff.
I even did a live video today about microchip your dogs.
That's actually, May is National Chip Your Pet Month,
Right.
so that's
Look at that.
perfect. May
For our, yeah,
Very good.
and if we wanna even list dates, it's something that, you know, you guys are doing when it comes to stuff like that, like, hey, we'll just do all the dates listed, like, keep these open, like, we can share the awareness through our media as well, our social media, whatever,
Okay.
just a thought.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is discuss the option for LACS to partner with university programs to raise awareness and involve more people in finding solutions. And that item
This
is,
is mine, I swear it's my last time of the day.
that's okay.
I'll count more on Laura, because you probably have more experience and a better perspective on that, since you have a master's, is that correct? Right? You have to,
Yes.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know if there's anything out there, any master's program, any public administration program
Yes, there is.
that'd be interested, you know, if anybody can identify them, because I don't.
I'm the director for the Masters in Public Administration. I'm one of the
In town.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I can definitely reach out. I think it's twofold. I think getting people who are eyeing going into public administration, bless their hearts, and then, you know, even as solution oriented when it comes to ordinances and navigating public interactions and community based items, as well as maybe there's something where people are in media, PR, really getting into that, where we can take these ideas and these things and utilize this group of students or whatnot to actually promote. We're also gonna do that on an operational level in terms of like the vet techs and stuff like that within the shelter, but for like the large, like macro level, I think that's not a bad idea to start getting.
Did you have to write like a master's paper or anything like that?
A thesis?
Like a,
Thesis?
yes.
So maybe somebody can work, I don't know.
The
Somebody
public
work,
administration
somebody,
does not require a thesis, I mean, thesis.
maybe somebody somewhere wants to
Okay.
write a thesis on, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, we could, we'll see what options we have out there, because there is thesis or capstone projects that people are required to do, so, you know, maybe if we could throw our name in the hat of a possible topic.
Thank God I didn't have to write one. That's your one.
You're lucky.
Okay, and the last item discuss possibility of relocating, mom dogs and their puppies to closed areas such as the cat village, considering the current low population of cats. And we're not allowed to call it the cat village anymore.
That was me,
Whose line item is this?
Angie?
mine.
We actually have something out there right now where we're asking the public to rename it. Like we're getting public involvement, so that name will be changed. Formerly known as, we can make a symbol, for Cat Village. There's just Cat Village, so we don't wanna mix the confusion.
No,
No,
Might end up in the wrong
we actually have like a huge list submitted, by individuals.
Yeah, but I need my cat village in 2015.
But no, and that's okay, that's okay.
There too.
It was named Cat Village before I got here, so, we
There's a lot of options.
we put it, oh yeah, we collected a lot from the public.
And fill out our forms.
Yeah,
and submit
And
yours.
then, we're having a vote on it, so that, like, again, it's a way to engage the public and stuff like
And
that.
actually, I was saying, I named it, Dia de Gatos. Dia de Gatos. And our Jenny, that's been there, like, one of the founders of Blast, she started calling it Cat Village, but I would call it Dia de Gatos in Espanol, no? So it just ended up with Cat Village.
That's the best friends for life one, right?
Yes.
I painted one of the rooms in there.
I was trying to see the
The
kitten
kitten room, yeah.
And you're.
Well, but I think the question here, Lauren,
Okay, so we have a couple issues that we have going on. There were 0 cats in there, I would say, all right, maybe. But, the kennels that we have in there, the shoreline carriers, they are not best practice to use for mom and puppies, I'll tell you that right now. We do have outlier puppies in there that, they shouldn't be in there, you really shouldn't mix species, it is not best practice. I'll flat out say that. And unfortunately, the trailer that's in the back is for the intake cats versus the ones that, have been vetted and are up for adoption. While we are actually kind of looking, and again, I don't wanna say this and overpromise anything, but we are looking at areas where we could possibly enclose for certain animals, specifically dogs, because we already have that for cats. Which is climate controlled. You also have to look at the whole air exchange system and stuff like that. That's a whole nother factor when it comes to housing these types of animals. But I will tell you, it is actually, even for the AVMA, the Shelter Vet Association, and sometimes even with our, when they come in and do the inspection, if you house the dogs and cats in the same area, it's a violation.
No, I get them in both together, I mean,
I have to figure out what to do with the cats then, at this point. And while I do expect that the population, which is why we got away with doing the puppies in there because it was cold, or the ones that are affected with the cold, the population of the cats, as you know, during the wintertime, it's gonna go down, right? We're getting flooded now with the little baby ones, the little baby kittens. So even though that it's a low census right now, it's not gonna stay that way, especially, between this month and probably October. But again, it's kind of figuring out where we're gonna put the cats, because I don't wanna reintroduce them to the population that we have coming in with the TNVR stuff, because that's on a rotation. And the exposure rate would be way too high, especially for the vulnerable kittens, right? So we are looking at kind of other opportunities out there, whether that be down the line, figuring out costs to enclose at least one of the, in fact, I even asked Manuel the other day to look at pricing of what it would cost to at least one of the buildings, figure out how we enclose, do proper air circulation, with a like a actual air and heat for that location, and it would be for the more vulnerable and the moms and puppies. The one thing I will tell you is, even though it seems counterintuitive, and I didn't read this, until I got here. When you have moms and puppies like that in an enclosed environment, your rate of disease, we're actually, it tends to, because it's all particulate. So right now, when we clean or whatever, the particulates that are in the air go beyond the actual, because it's open, right? When it's enclosed, I will tell you, sometimes you do have a higher rate of disease. So it's like a hit or miss. We don't want them out there in the sun and the cold, but we're also looking at, that's actually not a horrible thing when it comes to the spread of disease when you have that open environment. So it's like a catch-22 either way, and we're trying to figure out a kind of walking down the middle road to figure out how to compromise on both right now. But I mean, you can ask them. Well, I just asked them the other day, hey, can you give me a few quotes? Maybe this is something we can do one building at a time, so it doesn't affect what we can take in. But we are looking at measures like that. But within the cat room, especially using shoreline kennels, that's like a.
No, I don't understand.
Okay. I mean, in theory, it's not bad, but we have thrown some puppies in there once or twice. So, just so.
I got one from those kennels.
Yeah. I mean, again, when there is a need, we will do everything we can to make sure like the puppies are okay.
There's been 2 months that we have puppies here.
For during the winters
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
We started that way because of the cold. And
Yeah.
so we're just doing it.
So we're trying mom and puppies for those tiny. There's not, but again, we are trying to accommodate the little ones the best we can.
That is our last item. Any other, any old business that, needs to be reviewed, discussed?
Can we discuss, or we can? I'm just gonna mention the dogs being tied up. How many hours it can be?
That's a
Like not
State
sufficient
law?
shade.
Well, you have to also remember, if it's a state law, we're not the agency that can actually enforce that.
change. Do we have that in our ordinances?
I believe yes.
I bet you
Tethering?
it is, yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if it is only in state law, it might be.
Because there is a state tethering law.
Yeah.
And specific, be more specific, what is a proper shelter for dogs?
Oh,
I mean,
no, I agree
proper,
with that.
adequate shelter for the dogs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you want to look at that for the cruelty?
Yes.
Like to enhance that portion of the ordinance? Because that's.
I know
totally
it's
fine.
there.
Well, I know, but is it the way we want it to be?
No, I'm just asking because it doesn't say there what is specific you're talking about.
Like
Adequate
an enclosed
shelter.
three-sided shelters with a top and a bottom, like yours doesn't include a bottom, but there's ordinances that do include bottoms, there's ordinances that do include, has to be raised above like X amount of the ground. There's ordinances that say not only do you need a shelter, which is gonna be 5,000 degrees but that's all we have to go on right now. Or do you require some type of tarp or shade?
Yes.
If it is shade, how much shade? What is the
Yeah.
square footage of the shade? Like, so there's a lot that we can add to that we don't have right now. We have basically a box at 115 degrees. Come on. Like, but that's what we have right now. That's why I'm saying, like, let's really hone in on what we can do to change these to make it so when these guys do go out, they can actually enforce stuff that, you know, should you have the shelter in the winter? Absolutely, hands down. I mean, they do hand out tarps even though it's not in the ordinance, just to ensure that there is shade. But is there anything in the ordinance right now enforceable about that? No. So that's the type of stuff that I really want us to kind of look at when we're looking at these ordinances to make that change of when we go to a house, and it's not gonna be what we probably want. So we have to put our feelings aside. Like, but we can strengthen it to make it best case scenario for the animal in that yard at that time.
Anything else? Any other old business? Okay, need motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second? Second. All in favor? Thank you.